Oh, wow. That's good for a last cup of coffee. Good morning. I got this Square Mile coffee from French Laura for my birthday, and I worked through it really slowly, but I took it traveling with me on my little vacation. Finally put an end to it. And even though it's ground for AeroPress, it still tastes pretty dang good in the Chemex, and it's so delicious. Tasty. Anyways, welcome back to the daily vlog and another new attempt at format of the vlog. It's like attempt number 5 among all the attempts that I've made in recent history. So I figured we'd talk about that a little bit today and just make a quickie. It's a little bit of housekeeping. Talked about some stuff a little bit last week, but just in case you didn't see that or you're not sure what's going on, Kate's going to be coming in to work a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and at least nothing else, I'm going to have a delicious cup of coffee. My life is kind of weird, and a lot of the struggle of the last year has been just kind of adapting to that fact. It's very good kind of weird for the most part, but it does have some strange elements, like I'm currently standing in the middle of a grocery store talking to what appears to be a bag of figs. To anybody who's watching, especially if they're watching me on a security camera, they're probably really not sure about what's happening. Merci, madame. Non, merci. Bonne journée. Au revoir. It's something that I've been trying to figure out how to talk about specifically because there are elements, part of the experiment in recording my life and vlogging and trying to avoid construction noises, which I'm supremely incapable of doing apparently, has been to also like talk about the whole experience of moving, trying to start businesses, failing at that, trying to sell books, failing at that, trying to launch new projects that are coming up that I'm sure I'll share with you, and I might fail at that too. But one of the elements that I haven't talked about a lot yet, he really did start drilling like right when I was starting to talk, didn't he? Has been like the effect of losing my sense of anonymity and all the weirdness that goes along with, you know, publicly putting your life out there to fail in public. Let's go away from the drills when we talk about this. The drilling was definitely way too much. One of the elements that I've been struggling to figure out how to talk about has been the loss of my sense of anonymity and the changes that are going on in my life in becoming a professional storyteller and in becoming a professional, you know, YouTuber, all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of mostly good things that come from that. Like, I love this career choice. The fact that I can go out to Rouen with Mark for a day and that is my job. Like, phenomenal. Cannot complain about that. But there are elements of it that have been challenging and, I mean, psychologically, emotionally, you know, in just so many ways. There are elements to it that are definitely, you know, kind of tricky, which I've been able to share a little bit about, and other things that I feel like I want to share as I go. It's kind of one of the lines of thought that I'd like to pursue over the coming months, just to try and give you an insight. What does it look like to actually start getting some attention for what you're doing and to become like mildly internet famous? Not like really internet famous, but you know, a little bit. That's also partly why, you know, it's good to talk about the new format and what's coming. I made a video last week that I think a number of you saw, just talking about like what to expect moving forward, kind of what I got out of vacation, and vacation is something I'd like to talk about as well. There's a lot to talk about, and one of the things I like about the daily vlog format that I don't ever want to give up on really is that I can have this ongoing conversation with you, which we've talked about before, but I'm also realizing that, well, I mean, I've known that I'm kind of an extreme character when it comes especially to work as I go. That's not a secret, but in that extreme, I definitely can't continue to do daily, every day, all the time. And so I'm trying to find a rhythm that matches up well with, you know, like surviving more than a few more years, and also not losing that ongoing conversation, and knowing that I just kind of perform better when I know I've got to make a video every day. Also, just a fair warning, but there's a really good chance that the mustache is going to disappear in the next couple of days, because even though it's been a lot of fun, I really need to like either commit to like waxing it and doing something with it or get rid of it. And with all of the mustache interactions that go on with these masks, this is not going to survive. Now, not to get too into the weeds, there's a lot of good stuff that's going to be happening, a lot of fun stuff. I talked last week about the 80 and 8 that I'm really looking forward to doing, exploring the city, all 80 quarters of it over the course of 8 months, which is something that gives me a little bit of structure to work with, but also gets me to explore the city in a deeper and like more intimate way than I ever have before. I'm really hopeful, at least, and I'm really looking forward to that. So that's something to look forward to, and I'm going to start doing that next week. That's on the docket. The other side of it is that, as I said last week, I'm going to start taking weekends. So I'm going to try and only do like 5 videos per week instead of 7, which to me it's already starting to sound like, am I being lazy? But in reality, like that's still a lot of videos. And then you always have the edit at the end of the day waiting for you, another 2 to 4 hours worth of work. Just kind of, starts to add up. The thing is that I'm just wanting to make sure that I can continue doing it for as long as possible, because I enjoy it. I think if you're here, you probably enjoy it too. And there's a lot to be done. There's a lot of exciting stories to tell. There's a lot of the world left to see. There's a lot of France left to see. Hopefully you enjoyed our trip to Rouen yesterday. And lots of different types of videos to make. Like, I'm really, really excited for a number of different things. But I recognized that coming back, well, it was kind of an experiment. Like, could I do a full month? Yes. And then I was like, well, I'll do 3 weeks on, 1 week off. But that was getting really hard. By the time I get to about 2.5 weeks, like I can feel that grind, and it's just, I'm not proud of what I'm putting out. I don't feel like I'm putting out the best things I can be putting out. And I want to show up and make the best video for you that I can. And so I'm trying to find this right balance between quantity and quality. And one of the things I've been wrestling with, which we kind of touched on a minute ago, is just kind of the effects that it has on me, both physiologically, like in my brain, and also emotionally, like just out in the world. Quick side note, I already hate this watch for so many reasons that we can get into here shortly. Did you knock this guy's bike over? I always took you as an angry person, but
how are you?
How good, how are you doing?
It's nice to not be the light one for like once in a while.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know if you want to pop it open since this one's a gift.
You've done this before. For those of you watching at home that forgot, this is Ashley's whiskey brand. And this is a gift for the Vosses, who are letting me use their apartment as an office right now.
Thank you, Vosses.
Thanks, Vosses.
Trying to be very gentle with your sticker.
They commented on how they really wanted a bottle. I think they'll be happy either way. They'll be fine. They really wanted a bottle of this, and I was like, I'll get you a bottle as a thank you. I mean, come on. You're letting me stay in your spot? Look, it's so nice. You want to pop it out and let the sunlight hit the glorious bourbon.
Actually, I'm going to pop it on its back. It's a little easier to pop her out.
Professional whiskey popping.
Voila. Voila.
That looks so good. Good work. And unless you live in France, you can't have one. Sorry. But that, someday.
Maybe next time.
She's a gem. And the whiskey is super good. If you happen to be in France and you happen to be a whiskey fan, bourbon, you want to try bourbon that's been made for the French palate, super highly recommended. I can't wait for you to try it, bosses. They'll have to come back to France to try it, because I don't think I'm even legally allowed to ship it back to America, but it'll be here waiting for you. Thank you for letting me use the Vosses. It's nice to have the Voss office. I'm gonna go meet my buddy Dan for a drink now before I head home. But the two things that I wanted to finish up on were the brain thing and a little bit of the fame thing. And we'll talk about this more over time. The brain thing is, I really feel like, probably this is true for all of us. You might feel this way, but that sense that social media, the internet, all of it's actually changing the physiology of our brains. The dopamine hits that we get from using Instagram or Twitter or OnlyFans, whatever it is, it's actually like physically changing the physiology of how our brains work, which is a little bit scary and something to take into consideration. Honestly, we don't even know what the long-term effects are. We're running one of the longest uncontrolled experiments on ourselves as like a species all at once. And the results don't seem to be great if you look around the world right now. And so that's something I want to talk about, but then to compound that, oh, they're trying to get, this is going to be tight. Hold on a second. As somebody who makes a video every day of his life, or did for a really long time, I think my brain also started to think like, oh, look, you made a record of this entire day. I don't need to remember anything. And so when I'd go to bed, I think I slept pretty well because of it, honestly. But my brain, like, I don't think I remember really anything anymore very well. Like, you asked me where I was yesterday, what I was wearing, what I ate. Unless it was something big, like going to Rouen, something I've talked about repeatedly today, I'm very likely to have forgotten about it. So it's something I want to take really, honestly, seriously and into consideration. It's part of the reason that I think it's really important that I start taking weekends, for example. I gotta start giving my brain a chance to stop thinking that this is gonna, you know, solve all of our memory problems, because it's not. So that's kind of important. Giving myself some time to rest, and you know, part of it's about preventing burnout, part of it's about the longevity, but honestly, part of it is about trying to figure out how do I preserve the function of my brain long term. Something we can dig into a little bit more, maybe do some more research and talk about, but something that's very front of mind. Keep getting stuck behind garbage trucks. So the other side is the one that I feel like is the most awkward, and probably the reason that I left it for last. And that is, like, I'm kind of a little bit famous. Not in like a really big sense, not like I'm, you know, a rock star or anything, but you know, to some people, I'm genuinely kind of nerve-wracking to meet, which is adorable and always fun. And I love meeting people, but it's a weird transition, speaking of like brain changes, and it's something that I've had a hard time figuring out how to properly communicate and talk about, because to be honest, it's weird and it's kind of isolating. And the last thing I want to do is to let that effectively isolate me. Like, I really want to make sure that I'm taking the time to bring you along for that ride. Maybe it's just interesting, especially if I get any more famous than I am, to see what it's like through the eyes of somebody who's steadily becoming famous for making silly videos on the internet about himself, to see what that's like. These garbage trucks are killing me. Not just me. Bonjour. Merci, c'est trop gentil. He made a brand new table just for us. What service? Well, you know, I've been accused of worse. Santé.
Yes.
Great spot to my guide if you were able to come to Paris. We were just talking about my guide. Happy corner. All day. They're just following me around. I've been followed by garbage trucks literally all day.
You just drive me insane, like, especially working from home. Always. Like, it just comes at the moment you're like at a silent moment and you're like concentrating.
And then they dump glass. Good drinks, Dan. Next time we're gonna do a version that has pizza involved as well, but it's always nice to sit down and have a beer. And the really nice thing is the staff is really nice to set up an extra table for us outside. Really nice guys. If you've never been to Hoppy Corner before, and you want to grab a beer, they're not a bad spot to do it. They've always got rotating taps. Phenomenal. I think I kind of hit everything though that I was talking about earlier. And that's also what I was kind of leaning into before when I said that I was trying to find the right words a few videos ago, was that I want to be able to share the experience, because there's something inherently a little bit a-hole-ish about talking about like, oh, being famous, blah, blah, blah. And I don't feel that way, and I don't think of myself as a famous person, but I recognize that like that's an element of my life that is actively changing right now. And I want to be able to share all the elements of my life as I go. Also, my wheel is kind of freaking out right now. I think I might need to get it taken in for repairs after all. We'll see. So yeah, just trying to figure that out. Not even as an element of like trying to make a statement about, I don't know, anything in particular, but just as a way of sharing like, hey, this is what's happening in my life and how things are changing for me. And losing my sense of anonymity has been a really big one lately, and it's one that I would like to figure out how to properly share as I go. So hopefully you can let me know in the comments if you think that's a boring topic, and then I won't get into it if it is. But it is a bigger part of my life increasingly with time, and yeah, I want to find the right way to share that element of it, partially because it's interesting and partially because it's having, you know, its own impacts on my life and how I see the world and how I think about things. And it just feels kind of like a ridiculous thing to talk about. Whoa, how did the camera end up pointed that low? I just went on talking about it for way too long. You get it. Anyways, I got this whole thing figured out, and I ended up taking the tripod down again, so I don't know why I'm trying to replicate that look so strongly. But I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever it is you are. Thank you to Steve Leis, today's patron producer. I'm glad that you're here, hanging out with me as we go. And to the rest of you, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. To all my patrons, as always, thanks for making all of this possible in ways that I could never have thought. Just a handful of topics that I'd like to open as we go. Looking forward to exploring the city, looking forward to sharing more of this weird and awesome life with you, and I'm really grateful to be where I'm at. And of course, if you want to know how I got here, if you want to know how things ended up being where they are, or at least get a good filler for everything that maybe is missing from your, you know, mythology of Jay, you can check out the book that I wrote, Sea of the Unknown. It's available on Amazon in ebook and paperback, and then of course as an ebook from my website for non-Kindle readers. And yeah, you can give that a read. It's gotten pretty good reviews. People like it. It seems to fill people in on what's going on behind the scenes. But if you watched this far into the video, I assume you might be the right kind of person to enjoy it. So give it a try if you got the time. In the meantime, yeah, I'm going to edit this video. It ended up being much later than expected. I had a great time with Dan, and a good time seeing Ashley, and just a good time in general today. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you bright and early tomorrow morning for, you know, a little bit more madness here in Paris.